Hello, I'm Daniela. In today's video, we're going to combine denim with lace and just a few stitches to make these beautiful denim and lace hearts. It's a striking contrast between something rugged like denim and something very feminine and lacy, just like the lace. You can use white or off-white or colored lace. I stick to two colors, either the denim and then a white lace or the denim and an off-white. I just think those colors are very sharp and the contrast is overwhelmingly beautiful. You can make this project as simple as you'd like or as complex, meaning you can make it a simple little accessory to your work or it can be the main focus of your work. So let's get started. So these are some examples of the denim and lace hearts that we're going to make today in the video. Now I think it's kind of interesting because the combination of the lace with the denim is really quite beautiful. It's kind of such contrast between something rugged and maybe casual with something so elegant as lace. And depending on how much you want to use, you can really get a different effect. You can do something here with multiple layers of lace and some stitches. Here I added a button, and this is just on a denim pocket that I salvaged from an old pair of jeans, to where I just used the denim fabric to make the heart, adding a little bit of a lace trim, very simple, and then lots of stitches. And again, this is kind of like a little button. It came on that little piece of trim, to just some lace that I cut up from different pieces of lace to make a heart. And this is kind of the technique we're going to be going with, a little combination of these two. So let's get started. So I'm going to use my piece of denim for the heart. I have a piece of quilted fabric for the backing. You can use any type of fabric that you want, or you can skip the backing altogether. Then I have a bunch of little lace scraps, and this is the fun part, is you get to decide how you want to use these, and you can even cut these up. To make my heart, I know it has to fit on this little scrap here, so I'm just going to cut out the top of this little index card to make my template, so I know that my heart can be no larger than this. And then to make a symmetrical heart, I just fold my piece in half. I'll fold it this way so it's easier and less distracting on camera. And then with a pen, I can just make the heart. You can make it as whimsical or as pristine as you want. And I like to draw it, even though I'll probably change it up when I cut it out, because this way I get to really just get an idea of what I'm making. And then I can just cut out my heart shape and see if that's going to work for me. That size is beautiful. So from here, I want to cut out my denim heart. Now it's easy enough to do. I like to just fold it in half. And since it's very difficult to write on the denim and have it show up, you could always do that on the back side. But for something as simple as this, I'll just hold my fabric together with my template, take my scissors and just cut around. So there I have my little heart that I can use. Now from here I want to decide how I want to add the lace. And I think I'm going to actually stitch my heart down first, and I'm probably just going to use a little running stitch or maybe a back stitch just around the perimeter, and then I'll divide up my heart. I have just some quilting thread to attach my lace. It's very thin, doesn't show up, and I like the way that comes out. And then I'm just going to use some white embroidery floss to make my stitches all the way around. I like to use all 6 strands, but that's completely up to you. Put a little pin to hold it in place, and then I'll start my stitching. Come down here and decide what type of border I want, the measurement. So it's just a little bit of a 1/4 of an inch or so. And I'll just make my stitches. Make them all approximately the same length, and just stitch around that border. So I'll start and end up right here at the base of my heart. So now that I have my little stitches around the perimeter of my heart, I can decide how I want to break up the heart. Because I have this little line here, I think I'll use that. And I'm not going to worry about making it symmetrical. In fact, I don't want it to be. So I'll decide which side I want to go along. I think I will start down here, maybe 3/4 of the way down the heart, and just connect that. So I'll make my stitches, bringing it up to the center of that heart. So I'm just using the back stitch there, and I think I'm going to make this shallow little line. So I'll start on this end of that stitch and bring it across to here. So now I've divided my heart into little sections. You can do it further and divide it more if you'd like. I'll knot this on the back. And now I'll start designing with my lace. I can fill these areas in with stitches, or I can use some of this lace. I think that's kind of a pretty effect. So I'll just cut a little bit of this lace off, and I'll be cautious how I cut it based on the lace itself. Measure where I want it. Cut it straight this way. Right to here. And if I want, I can have it come off the heart, but I'm pretty happy with this. I'll take it right up to this one. And so that's one section that I want to use with my lace. Now I could cut this one up further if I wanted to, because of the characteristics of this little small piece. For example, I could take off that little border, and I can even cut these individually if I wanted to use them somehow. So maybe I'll do that. Cut them individually. So I have these little woven, it's kind of satin stitched circles. I might be able to use these in one of these sections. I kind of like the way that's coming along. And so now I have this section, and over here I can add some lace to that, or I can add some lace to that, or I can just fill it with stitches. I think I'm just going to see how this looks with just a little piece of lace. Oh, that's a little busy. Maybe if I cut it down further. And that's kind of an interesting effect. So I'm quite pleased with this. This leaves me a little area to stitch, and after I stitch these down and attach this lace, I'll see what I want to do with these little areas that are unstitched. So I'm going to use my quilting thread here, just on a smaller needle. This is just a little in-betweens needle. Don't know which number, but it's a very small needle and a small eye. Perfect for this quilting thread. And I'll just stitch this down. I'll start here. I could pin it in place, but I think I'm just going to hold it in place. And I think I want a little bit of that stitching to show. And then I'll just tack it down. I'll do some couching stitching, and some stitching I'll stitch through. It really depends on the structure of that lace. And my goal here is just to tack it down so it's sturdy and it almost looks laminated onto the fabric. And I'll do this with all the pieces and show you how this looks. So I've tacked all that little lace trim down, and it's starting to really come along. It looks adorable. So now I want to decide what I want to add to this piece. I want to add some stitches that tie it all together. And I want to keep with that rounded theme. That's just something I want to do. You can use any type of stitch or none at all. I'm going to just make some French knots, and I'll kind of stagger them so that they'll look like polka dots. So I'll just take my thread, pull it through my fabric, wrap it twice around the needle, maintaining some tension. Put that needle back through that fabric, still keeping that tension on that thread. And I have a perfect little French knot. I'll move my thread along and do a few more of these, spaced out like polka dots, all over each of the sections of this heart. So that's just a simple little touch, adding a few more stitches just to make it a little personal to that heart. I just wanted to review the others again just to give you some ideas that you might want to incorporate into your work. By combining lace with the denim on a pocket here instead of a denim heart, you still get a heart with the denim. And here I just used all lace to tack it down and just a simple stitch for a border. And then here I did more stitches, so 90% stitches and just a little spot of lace. They're all very feminine and delicate, and they give a different effect. So that's how I combine denim and lace to make these elegant hearts. They're good for Valentine's Day, but good for any time during the year. It's such an interesting shape and element to add to your work, full of contrasts and complexities. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe. Thanks for joining me today.